Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It's the SCB Steelers Podcast presented by DEK Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. We are very proud to be part of the Variety Sports Network. And, of course, the show originates from the Bradshaw Bourbon Studio. And holy shit, what the hell happened Sunday? Boy, do we have some things to say about that. Freak is in, and oh, is he coming in strong already? This guy has been here for like the last 10 or 15 minutes, and he's going to need some explanations on what weighty downs means.
Weighty downs?
Weighty downs.
Yeah.
I would say the weighty downs are the downs, the money downs.
The money downs.
The third down, like when when you need to convert to keep the chains moving. I would say weighty downs are when you have a wide receiver running free on a slant and he's going to score a touchdown and you throw the ball behind him. That's a weighty down. When you have opportunities and you don't fucking capitalize on them, those are weighty downs.
So I thought weighty downs was what was in the back of Presley Harvin's pants for being able to punt so well.
That dude is thick.
Now
he is thick, man.
I will give Presley a pass on the first punt of that evening because the blocking was so shitty that literally his blockers were in his lap when he got the ball off.
They were nearly in his weighty downs.
That was not good enough, man. The first punt was 34 yards.
Yeah. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. And I know people are just pouring into the show right now. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much. Whether you are here live, whether you check us out later on your own audio, video, it doesn't matter. Thanks so much for doing it. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. That makes us happy. Look, I'm going to give you guys 30 seconds. Just get it off your chest about what happened on Sunday. And then that's it. And no interruptions, just 30 seconds. Okay. Now,
nearly enough.
No, it's not. And chances are I'll probably let it go a little bit, especially if it's really good. Now, Scarps, I do want to ask you before I let you guys do this. Does Casey have a bit of a rant? I won't be stepping on Casey's toes by letting you do a rant, will I?
No, and
Okay.
I think that type of performance deserves criticism multiple times, even if it's about the same subject. So
beautiful. So with that said, Scarps, I'm going to let you go first.
Okay.
I just give me a little rant. I know what I'm going to say, and I'll we haven't talked about this. All honesty, we haven't talked about what we're going to say. The guys just I told them I say, hey, I'm going to give you 30 seconds, just rant, get it out, and go from there. So Scarps, whenever you're ready, I'll try to clock you here.
It was embarrassing. We got our asses kicked. We got bullied. We quit.
There's that.
There were times when they could have established the run even when they were down only one score, and they refused to. Kenny threw the ball way too much even before it got out of hand. He looked small. He looked scared. He looked startled. He looked like a deer in a headlight. Matt Canada sucks. Far too often, we come out in these games and we're unprepared. And in the last 3 years, starting at 2021, we have been
finish up.
In a third of our games, we have been bullied, and that is not what the Pittsburgh Steelers are.
Well done. You thought about that. I think you did. That was
I don't
well
think
done.
he did. I think it was just stream of consciousness.
Oh,
I've been listening to this all week.
Well, yeah. Ben, go ahead. Let's hear your 30-second or thereabouts rant.
Scarps already keyed on the high points there.
Okay.
I would just add to that the units that I was most disappointed with were the lines on both sides of the ball. They just did not get it done. I mean, yeah, there were moments where guys flashed. Larry O flashed a little bit. He only played about half the snaps. Montravius Adams was terrible. Keanu Bitton played pretty well when he got in there. Didn't get enough snaps. Yeah, and, it was what it was. The lines, we saw the offensive line. They fucking sucked donkey balls. I won't even get into that, especially the interior guys, which I thought were going to be studs. Really disappointing. Really disappointing.
Ian, whenever you're ready to roll, give me your 30-second rant.
Okay, so typically you say that a team got beat in all 3 phases of a game, but there's another phrase of getting beat 6 ways to Sunday, and that's absolutely what fucking happened. Because not only did we get beat on offense, defense, and special teams, we got out-coached, we got out-staffed. Their team had the correct cleats, and our guys were falling all over the fucking place on our home turf. And to top it all off, they out-fanned us in the stands. Their fans where it was a sea of I was in the stadium. There were almost equal number of 49ers fans and Steelers fans. It was embarrassing. There was multiple times in that stadium that a Let's Go Niners chant broke out. It was like audibly heard and echoed. It was embarrassing.
I was really looking forward to yours, Ian, because I thought you'd go there. Ian was at the game Sunday, and he was texting us, and just, when you said there was a lot of red there, I figured, yeah, okay, I get it, but once I saw the TV shots, I was just stunned. I was
guys
absolutely
see Rick's note here?
What's that?
Did you see Rick's comment?
About seats on Monday night?
Yeah.
And he'll bring the bourbon?
Yeah.
Oh, he'll bring the bourbon, trust me.
And the thing I'll say too was it wasn't okay. I went with my dad and my 2 kids, or my oldest 2 kids.
Okay.
And I took the kids into the bathroom before the game. The whole row of stalls was all dudes in red jerseys. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
Right. And then, I'm in there, I hear guys talking. I'm standing in line. The one guy's like, oh, where'd you come in from? He's like, oh, South Carolina. Where are you from? Oh, I'm from Montana. I'm like, how the fuck are these 49ers fans from out of state coming in to Pittsburgh and buying up these tickets for our first home opener in over a decade? And it's absurd.
And I'll tell you something. Let me tell you something. On Saturday, I saw a tweet on Saturday, and it got a lot of traction. I guess 49ers fans were outside of McFadden's, and of course, the snarky Steelers fan was like, nobody even goes to McFadden's, and they're like nobody will be in the stadium tomorrow, and the 49ers fans were everywhere, and those same Steeler fans that talk trash are the ones that don't show up to home games. I would argue that Steelers travel better for road games than they do to go to Acrisure Stadium, and that blows my mind.
Old Hines.
But I just, that was just such a bad overall opener. There really, besides TJ Watt, there really weren't many positives. But I'm going to tell you this right now. I don't want to ever hear. I don't want to ever. Steelers fans need to take a chill pill about how we got the best fan base in the league and shit, or when they get snubbed because they're not the best fan base, because you literally let. I mean, a quarter of the stadium was 49ers fans.
Oh, on Sunday, Ian was saying 40%.
Yeah. I would have said more than a quarter. Yeah.
40% in red.
And especially by the time the fourth quarter started, after it had been sunny for a while and Steelers fans left, there was a majority of 49ers fans there.
Yeah.
There were some positives, and I want to try and find a little tiny ray of sunshine.
All right, Mr. Sunshine.
I am
give
not
us the
sunshiny
positive
at all, but there's always something, right? I thought DJ played really well. If they just would have gotten him the fucking ball,
he's hurt.
He would have had a hell of a game. He is hurt now, but up to that point, he was playing great. Calvin Austin flashed again. If they just gotten him the damn ball, he would have had a nice game. They just couldn't get him the damn ball. I thought Anthony McFarland he looked really nice in returns. I was like, wow, this guy can actually bring some value to the fucking team. That's nice. Keanu Benton played a nice game. It sucks that he's gonna have to play more because Cam's gone. But at least this year, unlike last, they've got some groceries in the cupboard to work with when they lose a guy like a Cam Heyward, or a TJ Watt last season. They had nothing behind TJ. They had nothing. And this year, at least they've got something behind Cam. So things are rosier than they were in terms of the picture when I know they won the opener last year, but the next 7 games were miserable because TJ was out and the team was just like, eh. You know, it just wasn't good. So there were some things to look at and go, okay, there's some reason to be optimistic here. It's not like it was a resounding performance or anybody like really distinguished themselves, but there were some things that could have been exploited. The team just didn't do it, you know, and they were obvious. And George Pickens is still a stud. They just couldn't get him the damn ball.
So let's go back here and just we've kind of talked about the crowd. We talked about everything. It just was this perfect shit storm. You know, it just seemed to be all day long. I mean, I felt like, and Ian, I think you might have mentioned this, when Canada called that jet sweep on second down,
sucked the energy out of everything.
Yes,
Aaron's comment.
They get a nice play on first down. It's 2nd and 4.
Mm-hmm.
You've run one play, and you're already going to come with the jet sweep shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it gets
before
crushed.
you even let Najee touch the ball.
Yes.
Yes. And I told my friends that the over-under on me yelling Canada sucks was the middle of the second drive, and they all took the under. Guess what? They were right.
Yeah. Yeah. I to me, that was just and by the time it got to 10-0, guys, I felt like the game was over. Now,
it was.
That didn't mean I wasn't going to keep watching. But when I watched the physicality that the 49ers put on us, I thought there is no way we can come back from this.
I thought the Steelers were getting out-Steelered.
Oh,
you know, and Scarps opened with it.
Yeah.
They got bullied.
Yep.
And I tweeted this last year, and the amount of Steelers fans that were so insecure about it was ridiculous. Is that we want to be what the 49ers are.
Yeah.
But we
that's
don't.
What the Steelers have been.
But
historically, fuck.
But they're a finer version of it, because they don't like. It's not full Steelers smash mouth football, but it's a variation of it. It's more advanced. But you know, if the Steelers were going to win that game last week, they needed to extend drives and get 7 points, and they didn't do any of that. And you know, that second play call on that jet sweep, in my opinion, I don't know if I've ever said this on the show, but please don't ever run another fucking jet sweep ever.
Never heard that before.
But Ian, you're right. Najee Harris. I'm done with Najee Harris. I'm done. That dude is slow. He stinks. I don't care. If you didn't hate me before this show, you're gonna hate me by the end of it. He
Let him
sucks.
finish.
Even on that broken play, he was slow. He looked like an 80-year-old man trying to turn the corner. And then they got an extra 15 because the guy from Frisco is like, you know what? I'm gonna try to knock him on his ass and give him 15 yards because that's the only way they're gonna score. But Najee might have been able to get you 3 yards and a first down there or something other than a jet sweep. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, they suck. I'm let somebody else talk. I don't have any words right now.
The blocking was so piss poor that it's really hard for me to evaluate what the run game might have been. That and the fact that what did we run it like? Seriously, 10 times. They had 10 rushes the entire fucking game.
Yeah.
10.
Yeah.
How do you evaluate that especially when your offensive line is blocking the way they were blocking on Sunday? It was like, who are these guys?
I thought their offensive line was going to be good. They were going to be great, guys.
So did I, man.
Great. They're revamped.
I was
stoked.
I was stoked. I was pumped. They played like shit.
Let me make this point real quick, and then Ian, I'll throw it to you.
Yeah.
How much of that, and Ian, you can build off of this, how much of that was how good the 49ers were versus how good we thought the Steelers were?
The 49ers have some really good players up front. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
A lot of what they did was a lot of what gave us problems last year was running stunts and twists. And when you have a new offensive line of guys who haven't worked together, no matter how good they are, to properly block a stunt or a twist, you have to be able to communicate. And communication is one thing that just comes with more reps. That being said, to everything else, we only had 8 minutes time of possession in the first half. Right. We were out TOP'd like 22-8 in the first half. Like, you can't establish any kind of rhythm. You can't, we had no first downs until that 2-minute drive.
We did get that nice drive versus the prevent defense, though. That was
and a lot of people overlooked that because that's exactly what it was.
That was exactly what it was. And even into the second half, there's people in the stands yelling like, throw the ball down the field. I'm sitting there thinking like they're playing a cover 4 shell. They're giving 15 yards after DJ went out. They were bumping Pickens at the line, giving 15 yards of separation of cushion on to everyone else. So the only thing that was open was those comeback routes. And I know you can't get yards after the catch with those. We've talked about that ad nauseum on this show. And I'll just leave it at this. I'll leave it at this, right? We've complained about Matt Canada over and over again. People from, here to Wazoo or Kalamazoo or wherever you want to be from have tweeted out stats about Matt Canada's inability to put up points on offense. And it's almost like when you say that the mayor in Jaws was still the mayor in Jaws 2 and you expected something different to happen, right? Like, Matt Canada's still the fucking offensive coordinator and we expect something different to happen. Well, guess what? The shark's in the water and the same guy's running the show.
Can I make 2 points real quick?
Yes,
please.
My first point is, and Ian, and I've seen this, I'm not an all 22 expert, but even during the live shots, like, you're right, like they're playing zone, like you're not going to get those deep shots, and then all this week, I don't know how many analysts were like, the 49ers didn't do anything special on defense. Like, and then you're sitting there like, wow, like we were terrible even when they like they weren't even trying. But then I would say, Big Ben's
P2,
burner. Just you wait, baby.
We'll get to that.
Just you wait. But I want to, and Melvin, and I love you, man. I want to say this real quick. Is that even okay? We were down 10-0.
Yep.
In the first quarter, we took over with 4:38 left, and we went Kenny Pickett incompletion, Najee Harris no gain, Kenny Pickett incompletion. Okay, isn't that a point? I mean, I don't like Najee, but isn't that a point that maybe Jalen Warren gets a touch a little bit earlier and maybe switch it up?
And Jalen Warren averaged 1.8 yards per carry too. The fucking offensive line was shit.
Okay,
they
but
were terrible.
Okay,
they were awful.
You're not getting what I'm saying. Is that
guys? You can't take anything when you only have 10 carries. There's nothing we can say.
I agree with you.
But we can say Najee was bad. Warren should have got more. Would Warren have 4 carries?
But they abandoned the run so early. 10-0 is not a reason to abandon the run. It's not.
No, I agree with you.
I agree.
I agree with you. Although I did literally. I turned to my buddy Dan when they got up 10-0 and said, in a game like this, a 10-point lead is almost insurmountable. And it was the first fucking quarter.
Yeah. Even Belichick, they're down 16-0 to the Eagles, who I'd put them on the same level as the 49ers. They're down 16-0 in the first quarter, and he's still trotting out chubby Zeke Elliott. You know what I mean? Like, there's to keep the Eagles honest. And then I'm sitting there thinking, like,
it wasn't just about that. You tire their fucking defense down when you run the ball.
And the Patriots' offense supposedly is so much worse than ours, and it was just like, god damn.
What did Trent Williams say?
A guy like Belichick is
hold on
from
we'll do
the Trent Williams thing in just a second, and I agree with that. That incensed me as well. But a guy like Belichick is looking at it from the defensive standpoint of what happens to my defense when they get tired. How do I do that to someone else? He always looks at it from that standpoint, and that's why he runs the ball. If it's still reasonably close, Belichick's going to run the ball because defenses get tired defending the run, and then you call a fast tempo pass play after that. Unfortunately, the guy we have calling the plays. All right. Anyway,
well, just Johnny's point. Who makes the decision to abandon the run? Obviously, Tomlin okays that. I mean,
Tomlin can overrule any play call because he's got it in his headset. So he can do that if he wants to. By the same token, does he make a decision? hang on.
I mean,
did you make a decision to abandon the run? No. But when you're behind the fucking chains and it's 3rd and 12, you're not running it.
No.
And the draw play on 3rd and 12, that we've seen before, that absolutely fucking incenses all of us. Let's make some room so we can punt.
Ian, what's the
all right,
point
2 points. One,
yeah.
Second point first, though. Draw play on 3rd and 12 unless you have Christian McCaffrey and he just runs it up the middle for 14 yards.
No problem.
First point, though. When you talk about abandoning the run, at some point the game situation dictates what you have to do, right? When you're down by 17 or 21 or 24 points, you kind of don't have time to fuck around establishing the run.
Absolutely.
What you got to do is, and it was so freaking predictable, right? They went 3 and out the first drive, didn't give Najee the ball at all. Everyone in the stadium knew they're going to hand it to Najee the first play of the next drive. What happens? Loss of 2 yards, drives. Right?
Yep. 5 drives.
I'm talking game situation though, right?
Right.
So first drive, don't give it to them at all. Like they should, like as we've established, should have given it to them on 2nd down. But then they had other opportunities too. They had a 3rd and 2 with like 45 seconds left in the first half. And granted, they scored a touchdown on this drive, but still 3rd and 2, like 1 timeout left, plenty of time to hand that ball off, get the first down, spike it with 28 seconds left, have 1st and goal, and go from there. Instead, they threw a pass that went nowhere, and then they had to throw a swing pass to Anthony McFarland on 4th down when they should have just run the ball on 3rd down, and he got tackled inbounds, and they wound up in the same position anyways that they had to run up and spike the ball. So it's
yes.
I mean, but that's in a 2-minute drive situation too. But nevertheless, it's a lot easier to stick with a balanced offensive approach when the game's within 1 score. And we talked about this a lot last year, right after Pickett came in. Remember, Pickett? I don't think Pickett played with a lead other than like that one drive against the Jets after they got the lead and then he threw that interception. But other than that, I don't think he played with a lead at all for like his first 3 starts or something like that.
Buccaneers before he went out?
I don't know if they were leading that game or not. He barely played with a lead. I'll put it that way, right? And towards the end of the year, they got better about it. But this game, right? You go 3 and out, San Francisco scores a touchdown, you're down 7-0 already. You go 3 and out again, you're down 10-0, and it's like, well, fuck.
So
and then you got to abandon your game plan at that point.
I want to talk a little bit about Pickett, because as well, you guys have probably heard this. Well, we'll get to that, but first of all, I want you guys to know that he played his college ball at Pitt. I'm not sure if you guys knew that.
Did he? Sure.
Yeah, that's what I've been told.
What round was he drafted in again?
Mr. Irrelevant? I don't know. Yeah, when I watched him in college, I saw a confident, almost cocky guy that seemed to have total control of what he was doing. And I haven't really seen that from him until really those last couple games last year, and then preseason he had the swagger, and then what the hell happened on Sunday? He reverted back to something I have not seen. And now some people are pointing to the fact that he got the head smacked the ground on the 3rd play or something like that. I'm not going to go there. Okay,
it wasn't the 3rd play, but yeah,
well,
it did happen. I mean. Yeah, and he's wearing that gigantic moon helmet.
He is
to keep himself from getting concussed.
Honestly,
the thing I thought, and I said it out loud when it happened, the Steelers had been flagged for that hit. Why the fuck?
For sure.
Wasn't he flagged for that? But setting all of that shit aside and getting back to Kenny's footwork and what went wrong there. One,
mechanics were bad.
There was a lot of pressure inside. The interior offensive linemen were fucking terrible. The tackles were just marginally better. And they kept giving up pressures because Kenny would come outside the pocket instead of stepping up because there was no pocket to step up into.
Yep.
Okay? Because the interior offensive linemen were fucking terrible. Mason Cole, dude, I don't know who I think it might have been Hargrave who was just taking him, and he was just whooping his ass and taking his lunch money and then walking back to the huddle. I was just like, Jesus, this guy's getting bullied. This is awful. He was terrible. But James Daniel and Sayamalu, too. They weren't playing much better.
No.
I mean, honestly, maybe a tiny bit, but not much better. The interior
does that
line,
go, though, Ben? Does that go to just maybe we didn't really think about the 49ers were really that good?
We didn't. We underestimated them. We overestimated us. Okay.
I didn't.
We've established us.
I did a little bit. I had the game. What, 16-13. I thought.
Yeah, I had it a close game. I thought it would be a much more competitive. That would be competitive. That it was going to be, defensive, dominated game, but then it would be close all the way through, and we'd be in it. Fuck no, we were out of it in the first quarter. We were done.
Yep.
And they beat the shit out of us, literally, physically. And the Steelers got out-Steelered. It was embarrassing. But the interior offensive line, back to Kenny, terrible. His footwork, terrible.
Yes.
Cringeworthy. And that was why he kept having problems with accuracy.
Yeah.
It was like,
when
dude,
you're under pressure,
where
the first
are
thing
you
that goes
putting
is your
it?
fundamentals. Yep.
We got spoiled. I know we did. We got spoiled because we had that guy back there before who was 6'5" and had the big arm and could shake off tackles. And it was great,
Yeah. Well, speaking of the offensive line, here's the situation. Ian, you alluded to this. Chooks is in concussion protocol, and they're already, as far as I know. So, Ian, what does it look like they're going to do if he ends up missing?
What it looks like they're going to do, or what I would do?
Well,
what does it look
give me
like
both.
But
what right now, what they're going to do is something different than what we saw in the preseason.
That's right.
Yeah, they're going to do is they're going to put Broderick Jones at left tackle and move.
No.
Remember, they're leaving Dan Moore at left tackle, and they're going to leave Broderick Jones at right.
They've had Jones at right tackle in practice.
Have they really?
Yes.
Oh, that's okay. Yes. Well, okay. All right. I don't know how I feel about that, because here's what I'll say. And we talked about this in the preseason too, that when guys get hurt, you don't want to weaken yourself at two positions. And that's what I felt like they did when Chooks went out. Now, granted, what's his name? Dylan Cook, the reserve tackle.
Yes.
He didn't get a hat on Sunday. So they didn't really have that option available to them. And I understand, they're losing the games the fourth quarter, whatever, bring Broderick in, move Dan Moore to the right. But that was a disaster. Like, Dan Moore was not good on the right side. But Broderick's only played on the left and only practiced on the left. So you kind of have to make a choice of, do you weaken yourself at two positions by moving your left tackle over to right?
It isn't just that. It's also about just matchups.
Put in, a guy at right. And I'm generally a fan of not weakening yourself at two positions. So it seems like that's the way they're going, keeping Dan Moore at left. But
Dan Moore has familiarity with Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
He's had a couple of good games versus Myles Garrett.
But look,
and he's also had some games where he played very poorly versus Myles Garrett. Yeah. So it's like, yes, there's the whole weakening yourself at two positions thing. But there's familiarity from a veteran player versus a rookie who's going to go against the All-Pro. But look at what Cleveland did
last week. They lined Garrett up in the A gap.
He was over the freaking center.
He was all over. Yeah. He was bing, bong, bang.
That's Jim Schwartz for you.
He was right.
Yeah. And he's a good coordinator.
Nose, he is left. He was all the positions along the line.
I mean, I just want to say this. Like, did you see he was doing fake crossover moves before they did that? And all Steelers, and damn well if TJ Watt did that, Steelers fans would be like, "Oh my God, it's the greatest thing ever." Because Myles Garrett is an incredible player, and
he's an incredible athlete.
I would not want Broderick Jones to be his first assignment in this league.
I don't want Mason Cole trying to block him from the one. One tech. It's not even a one tech. He didn't get into a 3-point stance.
He was off ball.
He was at a 2-point, but he's dancing back and forth. Mason Cole can't stop that dude. We saw him last week.
Yeah.
Can I get back to Pickett?
Yes.
Sure.
I will allow it.
Thank you. Mr. Steel Dad.
Mr. Steel Dad.
As you know, I have not been the biggest believer in Kenny Pickett.
No.
And
Dick, you're a hater.
Yeah, I want to say a few things. First of all, is that Kenny Pickett at this point in his career is not good enough to overcome Matt Canada.
Nope.
And I mean that in 2021, as we all know, Ben would literally look to the sidelines and be like, "What the fuck was that?" And like Ben,
and then call what he wanted.
and you know what? And he was old and he was slow and couldn't throw the ball down the field that well anymore. But he got the ball to spots that he needed to, and he was clutch.
Yeah.
Okay, but what I saw from Pickett in that game was that he looked small. He looked so small. And like he's 6'3", and then and I know Josh Allen is turns the ball over a lot, but like Josh Allen's a big dude. Like he is small, and he's not, and Burrow's not that big either. But like Burrow is miles ahead of Pickett, and Burrow knows to throw with anticipation, and Mahomes got the arm, and like all these dudes, like, but Pickett looks so small, and he looks so scared, and like so surprised.
He made himself small.
And
would be my observation.
That I would agree with.
He was constantly doing this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I know this. Like I know the Steelers got some huge streaks on the line this week. They haven't lost a Monday Night Football game since
20 years at home.
I think Cowher's first year,
1991. Actually,
so that would have been Noel's.
They
final
lost
year.
to the New York Football Giants.
Noel's final year.
Yep.
And then
that was in Jacksonville. Never mind.
And then
Sorry.
like the Browns haven't won here since I think a Sunday night game in 2003 in the regular season. But like I'm going to tell you this right now, man. Jim Schwartz is a really good coordinator, and then Tomlin called out their corners won them the game last week. And who they shut down? They shut down Jamar Chase. They shut down T. Higgins, and I know that because I have T. Higgins in my fantasy football team. Shut up, Ben. And he got me a Blutarski 0.0, as did Drake London. I had
deserved it for playing
worst fantasy football week of my life last week.
But you fully deserved it.
So if they're
and you drafted a couple of fucking Bengals, so you
if they're going to shut down Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, what are they going to do to George Pickens and
Gunnar
Olszewski or CA3 Tyreek Hill? It's like so Steelers are in more trouble than people think. People keep saying it's one game. Dude, I'm going to tell you right now, man. Pickett has had almost a full season under his belt, and there isn't one thing that he's done that has wowed me. Everything we know about him, we already knew. He has heart, he has smarts, he has grit, and that shit only takes you so far in this league.
Yeah, he was clutch in a lot of games late season last year, and I'll give him some props for that. But he was grinding out wins. He hasn't been dominant to this point, and that's what you need at that position. At some point, you got to become a dominant player, and then. This is just kind of the life cycle of quarterbacks, right? Like you're a young guy, you come out, you light the world on fire a little bit. Then there's enough tape out there on you that defensive coordinators slow you down. And if you can come back from that, you're a good quarterback. Well, Pickett still hasn't lit the world on fire yet. So he's still at point A. Is where I'm going with it. I mean, he looked good in the preseason. There was lots of promise, blah, blah. It's preseason. Like Pickett said himself, he's like, whatever. It's not difficult not to be cocky about that because it's preseason. None of that counts. So who cares?
Was that before or after he did the Conor McGregor walk against the Buffalo Bills like he was the shit?
I don't know.
No.
The other thing I'll add,
he should shut his mouth too, because this whole fucking team needs to shut their mouths because all they do is talk.
Yeah. Ian. The other thing I'll add is, Brock Purdy was efficient. He had giant fucking windows to throw the ball.
Oh my God!
He did because he's got an offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
He's got an offensive coordinator who schemes his fucking wide receivers open.
He does.
Brandon
he does that too.
Good, but he ain't that fucking good.
Yeah, he made a really nice catch in the end zone for that touchdown. I'll give him the credit on that one. That was an incredible catch.
It was.
But that being said, Purdy made some bad throws that his receivers made really good catches on to kind of bail him out. And no, in the game.
No, I'm talking about Big Ben Turner's comment.
Oh, sorry.
Ian, I.
Yeah, no. So no. Like Purdy made some bad throws that his receivers made great catches on to bail him out. Like Pickett also is a young guy. Pickett made a shitload of bad throws. As Ben said, his footwork was terrible.
Yep.
And yeah, he made a lot of bad throws. His accuracy was horrible. But at some point, especially when you're paying a wide receiver $15 million a year, like, can he reach behind himself and grab the ball? Maybe he doesn't score with it, but can he at least like
you're running
try
full
to make
speed.
a play
You're running
on the
full
ball?
speed, and the ball is literally a whole step behind you. Now, don't get me wrong. If it's thrown at your ass or your hip, then yeah you got to make an effort to catch it. But when it's back here, no. I'm sorry. I don't fault him for that. You're running full speed.
Yeah, or you know, can your tight end, even if he slips, actually make a catch falling to the ground like their tight end did? Kittle made a reach back, and I know Kittle's like one of the top 2 tight ends in the league, but nevertheless, like sometimes it makes your offense look better and it makes your quarterback look better when your receivers make plays to bail them out. We talked about this a lot last year with especially Diontae Johnson, just like doesn't seem like he goes beyond himself to make catches that like bail his quarterback out.
No, he's got great feet, but catching the ball is not his forte. All right. Let's just put it out there at that. Yeah. Yes, he is an adequate receiver as far as his hands go. But what is his strength? His strength is creating separation using his feet and his hips.
Yeah.
Are they protecting Pickett too much still?
Protecting him how?
Well, just with play calling and by limiting
play calling.
I don't know.
52
let me finish, jackasses. By play calling / they really aren't giving them any opportunity to audible at the line of scrimmage either.
That's where I was going to go with it.
And to me, that's what I was making the point earlier. When he was at Pitt, man, he walked up to that line just like Conor McGregor, strutting up to the line. He knew what he was going to do. He knew he was going with the ball. All that. He has none of that anymore. And
what? I can't speak to his command of the offense. Okay,
none of
like if he has a great command of the offense, then it is what it is. Yes. Do I miss Ben just walking out there and being like drawing play shit up in the dirt and telling guys at the line, you have an out, you're running a slant, you're running a post, telling them the defense knew what they were running and the shit still worked. Do I miss that? Yes, I miss it a lot. But Kenny doesn't have that kind of freedom yet. And to the point about the play calling, watching the tape, you will never fucking convince me. You will not convince me the Steelers ran more than 6 pass plays in that game, the entire game. They would flip
different formations.
They would flip the alignment to the other side, but it was the same fucking play.
It was like playing a video game.
And over and over and over again. And as Ian pointed out earlier, there were points where the only thing that was going to work was a comeback, and you had 3 guys, like 3 of 4 receivers running comeback routes. 3 guys running comeback routes. Do you know what the yak expectation is on a comeback route? 0.0 Blue Tarski.
And their yak yards are laughable over the past couple of seasons.
They are a fucking joke.
Right.
They keep running plays where the receiver, when he catches the ball, is facing the quarterback, and he's got 50% of the fucking defense behind him because the offensive coordinator can't scheme them away from where the pass is going to go. Our passing concepts are a fucking joke.
I can't even laughable. Yeah, I can't even believe I'm going to make this comparison, but I was watching the Navy Memphis game this evening before the podcast, and Navy ran a play where they kind of overloaded the right side. They brought like an H-back type in motion back across. They faked the handoff, rolled right. 2 defenders went with the motion guy. Here's the tight end all by himself, for an easy touchdown. And I'm thinking, okay, yeah, it's college. It's college, and these mistakes happen. They probably don't happen as often in the NFL. But holy shit, what a concept to try to move the coverage around a little bit. What a concept to try to get a guy open. I mean, what the? It's just amazing.
And this is what I don't understand about people that are trying to defend Canada this week. I get it. The team played poorly. and you're going to look at that first and go, the team played poorly. This isn't on Matt Canada. Okay, I get that. But, you can call bad plays and the team play poorly simultaneously.
Sure.
And bad plays were called. And what I don't understand about it is this. You've got guys running free, as Ian pointed out earlier, in these giant fucking windows because they are schemed open by Shanahan. They are schemed open.
Oh, the all 22 it's embarrassing.
Day
you
long.
can drive a truck through these windows.
The 49ers receivers are schemed open. Brock Purdy, all he's going to do is just play pitch and catch with these guys.
Yeah.
And then you look at the other side and you go, why didn't the Steelers try and do any of that? I mean, there was nothing. There was nothing. And these were like gimme 15-yard pass plays that, you could throw in 2 seconds.
Well, like you said, pitch and catch. And that's, we made it easy for
him.
But
the contrast between the two,
yeah.
One guy's scheming guys open, and the other guy is, I like to run this. I like to run 4 verticals versus cover 2 shell. What the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you? God!
Can we talk about that for a second?
Kids who play fucking Madden at 14
Ian,
years old
go ahead, because I
do
want to get to the defense.
Then our guy who's the offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers. What the fuck?
If you have spent any time on Twitter in like the last 3 years after a game that Fred Warner has played, you have seen a highlight of him running with a wide receiver down the seam and making a play to break up a pass on a seam route, post route, whatever.
Yep.
And for some reason, we think that Connor Heyward, who's slightly bigger than Frodo Baggins, is going to be able to outrun Fred fucking Warner down the middle of the field and make a play. Like, I was like, why would you ever dream of throwing that ball? Like, you can run that route and get Warner out of there and run a crosser underneath.
I love
which
that
will
idea.
Be wide open.
Right.
But don't throw that fucking ball. Don't throw the ball on a cover 2 concept with Warner running stride for stride down the middle of the field.
There was no crosser underneath that because we don't scheme receivers open.
No,
don't do that.
That's exactly what I was getting at. I mean, we're talking about just clear it out. I mean, God, remember Denver back in the old school with Rod Smith? They'd run him on the post, and then the other guy would come underneath.
Oh, hey, another Shanahan offense.
Exactly. It was an easy read,
Yes.
and we can't even do that.
God.
Anyway,
one of the things that and I said Casey touched on this last week, is our coordinators, and they both spoke today, and they basically said that they don't understand why it happened or how it happened, but it happened. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, I fucking know why, because you guys suck. Like, they're like, and I've been critical of Terrell Austin, and we could talk about the defense next, but I just last thing, and I'll try to make this quick. You drafted a quarterback in the first round, and you purposely kept Matt Canada not once but twice, and you literally you got rid of the old Cowboys buddy at offensive coordinator who is about 1,000 times better than Matt Canada, and you kept Canada, and you probably kept Canada either because you're cheap and don't want to let him go, or because, as many people told me on Twitter this week, he got Tomlin's son a scholarship, and I just sit there and think, like, man, something, or he has.
I wonder.
We signed another Maryland player today.
Who was it who pointed that out first initially? I am.
Oh, Ian, it was you.
I think
it was either me or Ryan. It was one of the two of us.
Here or he. Oh, whoops, wrong way.
It was
exactly
one of those guys in the bottom.
Yeah, the bottom guys
here.
Yeah.
I got him a scholarship. I mean, I there are also news stories out that the quarterback's coach hire was actually a suggestion by Art that he wanted to bring him in to add some creative. Sorry, not Sullivan. No, when they made Canada the quarterback.
Oh, my bad.
coach,
I'm sorry. I thought you meant the current one. Sorry.
That Art wanted that to happen because he wanted to add some creativity to the offense. And then And
art
then,
and creative shouldn't be in the same sentence.
Art.
Oh man,
All right,
I'm
you're drinking.
on one tonight.
You're drinking. All right.
No, it shouldn't be, Ryan. No, it shouldn't be.
But and then Art was on board when they promoted him to offensive coordinator. Yeah, I remember how many Steelers fans were excited about that promotion. I was like, you guys are fucking idiots.
Well, and as you guys were talking about, here's the problem now. Let's say we go through the season. It sucks as it feels like it might. Now you're going to bring in a new offensive coordinator. Kenny Pickett's in his third year.
Dude, but we talked about this at the end of the fucking season. We knew they were going to have to fire his ass anyway. I'm sorry, Mark, you're making me mad. We knew they were going to have to fire his ass anyway, right? Why not fucking get it over with? Rip off the Band-Aid. Yes, you got a young quarterback who's going to have to learn a new offense. That sucks. But he's going to have to learn it in 2024 anyway. Just fucking do it now. This guy's terrible.
That was our argument. And we were all over that. And now we're going to have to deal with this bullshit. Looks like, well, fuck. Yeah. Let's talk defense a little bit. First of all, kudos to TJ Watt. He ties James Harrison for the franchise lead in sacks. So his next sack, whether it's a half or a whole, he'll be the all-time leader there. And so kudos to him. And then again, we lose Cam Heyward. He had surgery today on his what they're calling a sports hernia. So we're going to have some guys step up there as well. So I was embarrassed by the lack of tackling. I thought our tackling was terrible. And again, I don't understand why we continue to leave the middle of the field wide open. It's beyond me, but be that as it may, Ian
completely. I mean, we completely just let them play to their strengths. What we needed to do in that game was force them outside the numbers, and they had whatever they wanted between the numbers. And we tried to force things between the numbers where that was the strength of their defense because Fred Warner's the best inside line. I mean, that dude just flew all over the field.
He's good.
It was really impressive.
He was
but
everywhere.
Our inability to scheme around him was really, really fucking depressing. The fact that the offensive line didn't account for him even once.
Greenlaw's no small either.
Greenlaw's 10 times better than our best inside line.
Greenlaw is good. Oh, that looks nice. Yeah. Greenlaw is good, but he ain't Fred Warner.
No, not at all. But I'm just saying he's a very nice compliment to Fred Warner.
Well, their defensive line is pretty fucking good. So Greenlaw is coming free all the time. They should have at least tried to do something to take Warner out, to make him a non-starter in those. I mean, something.
But
they didn't even try.
What do you guys make of JPJ? And again, it sounds like he's not going to get many snaps again this week either.
Well, they only play him in big nickel and in dime. So when it's 3rd and 2, as Tomlin pointed out, he's not going to get many snaps. Right. And I agree with Tomlin. What happened was the 49ers ran the ball or moved the ball successfully on first down. Their first down success rate was very high.
Ridiculous.
Which put the Steelers at a disadvantage on almost every series, which is why he only got 7 snaps. Now we can move on to Patrick Peterson because I know Scarps wants to fucking rant about
Scarps, you are on, baby.
Joey Porter Jr. is raw and he's not ready and he can't tackle. I think they have some concerns about that. But getting back to Patrick Peterson, who's about 187 years old, and if you watch the show, since day one I've said that he's old and he's not that good anymore. And then he decided to run his mouth this week and say, they got tendencies and I'm gonna have a pick. Dude, just shut up. Like you're supposed to be here for veteran leadership, and then in your post-game interview after you got cooked twice by Brandon Ayuk, you said, "Oh, I could have had 2." Okay, have a good day, man.
Could have had 3.
Yeah, I thought he said whatever. Regardless,
he did. What he said was, "I could have had 2." I thought he could have had 3.
Oh, well, that's great because he didn't have any. He didn't have any.
If he just would have had fucking ball awareness.
Yeah.
He didn't have any. And you know what? He's never won a goddamn thing in this league except for individual accolades. And let me continue that. I don't give a shit how many sacks TJ Watt has because you know how many playoff games TJ Watt has won? 0. Do you know how many playoff games Cameron Heyward has won? 1. He has 1 playoff win. And these dudes go out there and be like, oh, you're disrespecting me in my Madden rating. Or why aren't I higher in the NFL top 100? Because you haven't won a goddamn fucking thing. I am so tired of this team. They're so frustrating. They act like they're so great and they haven't done a thing.
I agree. It is frustrating. I have to give you that point. That kind of shit pisses me off. Especially like Madden ratings. You got a guy like Cam who's, I mean, frankly, is trying to build a brand. It's transparent as fuck.
Does he remind you a little bit of Ryan Clark right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure. Like
Same.
he's like openly lobbying for the NFL player, the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. Like, and he'll be the nominee again. Sure. He does a lot of good work. He does.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But
no denying.
But he's building a brand. He's building a brand so that like when he retires, he still has a brand.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know. Sorry, I love Cam as a player. He's great.
Of course.
But I don't know if Cam is that great a speaker. Like if he's that dynamic, that compelling, like if he is that guy that people want to tune into and listen to. I don't know that, where Ryan absolutely is. And it was obvious. It was obvious when he was still playing for the Steelers that he was gonna be that guy. You knew it then.
Yeah, no, I remember getting frustrated with him because he was so focused on that. And he's become very, very good at what he does.
Well, it was obvious he was going to be good at it. And it was a simple transition.
Yeah.
But I don't know that Cam is that guy. In fact, I don't think that he is. I'm just going to put that out there. I mean, there are other guys that are more compelling.
Yeah, I get it.
You fuckers are more compelling than Cam is.
You're damn right we are. Anything else on the defense? Because I don't mind if we move forward, talk a little bit about the Brown Stains.
Not impressed with Keanu Neal at all. They tried to use Neal and KZ at the top and move Minka around, and sometimes it wound up with like Minka covering a fullback and like Brandon Ayuk having a window like 50 fucking yards wide to pass into.
Yeah.
So, Mark Robinson getting 0 snaps after Christian McCaffrey ran for 160 yards on us seems kind of weird. But I mean, I know he can't cover, but at the same time,
but you thought maybe a couple of snaps, right?
Yeah, 1 or 2 here or there. It got to be a warm day. He's got a helmet on. He's playing special teams. See what happens. So, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully we're better this week. They got to figure it out up front. Alex Highsmith was a non-factor after getting the big contract. So, a lot of
also context. I'm sorry. This is important.
He did a nice
the best
job.
Offensive lineman in football was who he was facing.
Yes. Highsmith had a few nice jobs setting the edge against outside run plays to his side. I'll give him credit for that. But yeah, you're right.
How were the corners against the sweep on the outside? How were they?
God.
So
Levi Wallace is still being pulled out of the turf.
Dude,
I
was watching this game going, and we cut Ahkello Witherspoon. What the fucking fuck? Sorry, Ian, go on.
My analogy for how our corners are is Ryan and Big Ben's burner will appreciate this. Sometimes you've got your baby sitting in a high chair eating food, and you hear a noise come out of their backside, and you're like, oh, this is going to be bad. And you pull them out, and the entire back of their onesie is a like yellowish green color because they've shit so much, but they were sitting in a chair, so it all went up their back. That's pretty much how Levi Wallace played in this game.
Oh, sadly, I've been there as well.
And I credit Neil Coulon, who said,
"Hey, real quick. Neil was on fire this week,
dude,
man.
he was. Yeah,
he came out with like flamethrowers, and that's not usually his style.
Exactly. So I appreciate that. He basically said, like, Levi Wallace is only good for like getting that last shove in a scrum.
Right, whatever. Fuck you, Johnny.
Levi Wallace is always late to a play, and he'll just like randomly push somebody at the end of the play. That's all he does, and it's true.
He's the pile pusher over guy.
Yeah, he doesn't know how to tackle. Like, this defense is so fake tough, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it's so okay. If you're Kevin Stefanski, are you just going to hand the ball to Nick Chubb like 60 times based on what you saw?
You should run outside zone and because Chubb is at his best running outside, being a one-cut runner, being able to cut back against the grain. So what you do is you run outside zone to Ogunjobi's side. So whoever's filling in for Cam Heyward is going to have to be the guy to fill that backside gap, and you give Chubb that cutback lane. And we better hope either Keanu Benton or Isaiah Loudermilk or whoever else fills in can fill that hole, or one of our linebackers can
is
stack
a smart
it.
ass.
You're exactly right, Ian.
You're going to see like Minkah Fitzpatrick being our leading tackler in this game and Nick Chubb run for 170 yards, which you never want your free safety to be your leading tackler.
Please, God, no.
So,
and what makes it even...
I'm just saying, that's what I would do.
Two things. One, Minkah lined up all over the fucking defensive backfield last week.
Yes.
Not just at free. He was all over the damn place. And it was great, except that he didn't really do a hell of a lot because the defensive calls were weird. And going back to the point that Scarps made about the coordinator press conferences, does anybody have any faith in Terrell Austin right now? Because I don't.
Okay.
I started to lose it last year. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so you're telling us you're not worried about this continuing. You don't really know what went wrong. You just know it's not acceptable, and you're not worried about it continuing.
Well, this is what
all of us are worried about it continuing. All of us, literally.
Look, nobody's happier that Matt Canada is the number one topic than Terrell Austin is, because
Terrell Austin's probably super happy about that.
Oh my God, he goes to bed at night thanking the Lord for Matt Canada, because there's a lot of shit we could be talking about with Terrell Austin, but we're too busy talking about Matt Canada.
Look at Big Ben.
Holy shit.
My God. Wow, dude.
There's a name.
Those of you listening later.
Oh my God.
You
go
just
and
gotta
watch the
YouTube.
Show.
You gotta watch the
YouTube. Okay, so listen. I will give Shanahan credit for the formations he was using with the receivers.
Yeah.
He was forcing a lot of cushion on at least one side most of the game because of the formations he was using. Like, he needed outside cushion, right? Yeah. And the outside cushion was creating space on the inside, which is where he was throwing the ball. Because that guy had outside leverage, but he was giving a lot of cushion off the ball. No opportunity to get in and interrupt the play. Right. So part of that was schematic. And part of that was the game that Austin was calling. I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck?
Yeah, I agree with Melvin too. I would have much rather had Flores, but I understand the situation there. So
I mean, what is the situation? Why not promote Flores and just say, yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Austin, you're going to need to go. Oh, wait, I know what the situation was. You get a large contract for a coordinator who's got 2 years left on his deal, and you don't want to pay that out because, you can't because, we're cheap. And by the way, we're also on the finance committee with the owners. And we put out this memo in December that talked about the fact that the NFL had spent $800 million on terminated contracts over the previous 5 years.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to believe with all that money, $700,000 made that big a difference.
Dane comes back to me and said, I didn't know that the NFL could tell owners what to do with their money. I said, they can't. But if you're the guy advising people to do this, and then you don't take the advice yourself, what does that advice look like?
And I don't know if this is the case. It wasn't the case when I was there because Tomlin had much better coordinators, including Dick LeBeau and Bruce Arians / Todd Haley.
Mm-hmm.
But I highly doubt Tomlin is involved in the offense. So that being said, I think Tomlin's more involved in the defense. So whether these are Tomlin's calls or Terrell Austin's calls, I have zero confidence in either, because the head coach came here because of his D coordinator year in Minnesota. And I don't know, listen, and we'll talk about this later though, but TJ Watt, we all know who he is. We all know who Minka is, although Minka was pretty quiet the other day, but he was also moving. He was also moving around. But this is a chess match, and it's all about matchups. And you know what? Kyle Shanahan said, you know what? Brandon Ayuk is our guy this week, and we're going to do what we need to do to put him in positions. And they didn't do a goddamn thing to stop him. And that's on the Steelers to adjust to that.
Yes, it is.
And Deebo Samuel didn't do much. Neither did George Kittle. Christian McCaffrey had a great game. But you know what? They let Brandon Ayuk eat. And he
was
did.
A two-headed monster.
And you know what? Shame on us for not ever making adjustments. Because honestly, it wasn't. It's nothing will ever be as bad as Vince Williams on Keenan Allen in that Chargers Sunday night game. But you know what? When you see these type of things, you're just like, there's no way that they don't see it, but we do.
Yeah, and who the hell are we? You're right.
We're just guys.
I
need to probably open this up for Burner. What do you think, Burner? Little Don 70.
Yeah, apparently so.
Oh boy.
Well, let's I think it's pretty simple. I think they got to we have to get drives. We cannot do what we did last week and go 3 and out, put the defense up against the wall.
Yeah, I mean honestly, part of it is you got to keep the defense off the field a little bit. We talked about this earlier. We didn't get to this, and I know that Scarps has got a wonderful rant about this. But Trent Williams saying, I was hoping the Steelers would get a first round because I was fucking tired and I needed a rest. I mean, I was just hoping.
That's sad.
They wouldn't go 3 and out again. And then they did anyway. That is fucking embarrassing.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a extremely frustrating
Johnny,
and embarrassing
DJ70.
performance all around. So getting forward to this week's game.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll say though, Deshaun Watson gets a lot of hype for what he did in 2020, but that dude will turn the ball over. He is very loose with the ball, both in the pocket. He holds it really far away from his body. It's really easy to swat it out of his hands. And he will try and scramble around and chuck the ball down the field to make plays. Our defensive backs need to have their eye on the ball because there will be throws that are up there for grabs. And
I agree.
The fact that he holds it away from his body is really encouraging, though, for me. I don't know about you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, he fumbled so many times when he came into the league, and even last year he fumbled a lot. And
he reverted to his natural
body
language.
And not to try and put a silver lining on chicken shit, but like there were
Silver lining
times
on chicken shit.
There were times in that I'm drunk. I'm mixing
He's
analogies.
mixing metaphors.
Yeah.
It's like Michael Irvin-esque. It's great.
Yeah, there were times in that game last week where opportunities existed that we didn't take advantage of, right? There was a play.
No, really?
There was a play. I think it was like right around the
Sarcasm.
2-minute warning, right before the 49ers actually punted for the first time in the game.
Right.
Either Cam or TJ hit Purdy as he was throwing the ball, and this duck floated up there.
Yes, I know the play.
He had Deebo Samuel on a go route that had 2 steps on the defensive back. I think it was on Minka because I think it was a handoff scenario between the corner and Minka. So at any rate, Deebo was behind the defense. If Purdy doesn't get hit, that's a touchdown. It was second down. But also, if Minka gets his head around a little bit sooner, maybe he can come back and pick that ball off and it doesn't fall to the turf.
Harmlessly to the ground.
It would have been a long way for Minka to come.
Yeah, it was 7 yards, 8 yards.
Yeah.
It was a long way.
It would have been a long
Might have
way.
been longer
but
than that.
yeah, it would have been a long way. But
When you're trying to make up space,
is,
when you got a guy who's in front of you by 2 steps, and you're trying to make up that gap, you're not looking behind you.
Right. Yeah. That being said, like there were a couple plays like that it's like, oh, maybe if we pick that ball off, and there was another one that was tipped and then like kind of fell to the turf between 3 guys. A couple of those, it's like if we pick that off instead of it being an incompletion, how does that change the game, right? We had, and like I said, I'm not trying to window dress this. It was a dog shit performance.
No,
You're right. They would get arrested.
We had 3 drives that went inside the 10-yard line, and only one of them produced points.
Yep.
And game situation, we made the right call to go for it on those 4th downs. Like kicking field goals would have just been stupid.
Okay, game
at those
situation.
points.
What was the fucking play call in those situations, Ian?
Oh, it was terrible.
That's
it was awful.
Whole other.
Let's call 4 verticals on 4th
a cover
down from
2
the
shell.
8-yard line. Yeah,
that's great. That's fantastic.
4 verticals inside the 10 is so much worse than 3 comebacks. I mean,
no, you're right.
Yeah,
like,
right.
And it is just guys, I
Burner,
cannot.
In your honor,
like they retired Bruce Arians because he was too close to Ben. And then they brought a guy in, and Todd Haley, to try to help.
Bruce Arians because he was getting Ben killed.
But
it was a combination.
But they were also close. They
were tight.
Yeah,
they were tight, and there's no question that he was letting Ben do what he wanted to do.
Yeah, and it was getting him killed. So they bring,
and it was getting his ass kicked. But by the same token, you look at it after the fact. He goes to Indy, and he's got Andrew Luck, and Andrew Luck gets his fucking ass kicked for the first little bit of his career and retires early because he's taking so many goddamn hits.
Okay, so
it's just that's Arians' offense.
That's fine, but they brought in a guy to try to keep Ben healthier, and it's Todd Haley. And I think
he did.
And in my
opinion,
thank you, Johnny.
yes,
and I know they won a Super Bowl with Arians, but they had 2 pretty good coordinators, right?
Yeah, they did.
And
way better.
They weren't
like,
good enough for the organization. So then they bring in Ben's buddy, promotion, who wasn't good enough, and then they promote the other guy because he gave somebody's son a scholarship. And they're literally at the point right now where they could fire this guy right now and bring in, maybe not right now, but next year, bring in somebody that can really work with Pickett and get the best out of him. And you know what? They're just keeping this guy around because they don't want to pay him to go away.
Yeah. Again, reeling back to the point you were making, and I'm just going to agree with you. Both those coordinators, Arians and Haley, were better than anything we've had since. But Randy, when did he quit?
3 years ago.
He didn't.
No, 2020 was his last year.
He just didn't get renewed. It was renewed. It was 2020. Okay, so 2018. 2018, Randy was the offensive coordinator. The Steelers had the number one
Yes,
red zone offense in the league. Number one. 2019, Ben rips his elbow in the second game of the season, home opener. Remember that?
Yep.
The Steelers end up having the number 32 red zone offense in the league. What changed? The only thing that changed was the quarterback.
The quarterback.
Yeah.
The quarterback changed. Mason fucking Rudolph changed, and then Duck Hodges, which, I mean, honestly, Duck, gutsy guy, love him, but, not a guy who has got a lot of talent, which we're going to get back to the Kenny Pickett in a minute. I'm going to circle back to this because actually Ryan's going to love this point.
Okay.
Even though I hate it. Fuck you, Ryan. So anyway,
I'm engaged. God damn.
No shit, man.
The point being, Randy was not a terrible offensive coordinator. Yes, he let Ben do a lot of the shit that Ben wanted to do, but Ben was good at it. Ben was great at throwing the ball long on 3rd and 2. Like, they're not expecting this shit. I'm going to throw it for 25 through the air.
He's going to say 3rd and 2, so let's chuck it down the sideline.
Used to drive us fucking nuts. Fuck. We were like, God damn it, just move the goddamn chains. But then when he would connect with it, it was like, fuck! Oh my God!
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the YOLO offense, as I called it, where it was
God!
Yeah.
But
that was also the Ben with AB, and he was like, well, AB's got single coverage here, and there's no safety over the top.
AB could have double coverage. AB could have double coverage and an open sideline, and Ben would be like, well, the guy's got inside leverage. Fuck it! He's down there. Boom! He's got an open sideline. I'm fucking throwing it. And AB would go and get the goddamn ball. That was the thing. It was both of them. Ben could put it where AB could grab it, and AB could go and get it. It was both of them. It was a wonderful combination. It was magical.
And I think they should bring AB back now that
fuck
DJ's
you.
on.
I'll pick him up at the airport.
Probably would. What was the car you used to drive? Way back.
No, I probably got a nice car he does now.
Do you still have that car? Do you still have it?
Corner.
No, I know. That's
Wrong corner.
You didn't keep that car just for the hell of it, just for nostalgia?
No, it wouldn't pass inspection anymore. I got a guy, and he's like, "Yeah, I can't pass this." I'm like, "All right, I'm good."
Here's a guy who's
okay. Circling back to my point about Kenny Pickett. So they got a bunch of execs and front office personnel and scouts and whatnot to go on the record anonymously about players. And there was one comment stood out about Kenny Pickett that doesn't really project super well on him.
Okay.
And it was this. Kenny Pickett, nothing to do with small hands. Kenny Pickett doesn't have the physical ability to be an NFL quarterback. He doesn't have the physical talent to be an NFL quarterback, but his intangibles are through the roof. And that's why people fall in love with him.
Huh. I don't know about that.
They love this guy because he can do all the other things other than deliver the ball to the spot. I'm like, that resonated with me and scared me at the same time. And I was like, okay, I really don't like hearing that. And I was the guy, don't get me wrong, I was the guy outing myself,
right?
Who said before Kenny Pickett was drafted that he will be a first-round pick and a bottom 10 quarterback for his entire career. This is before he was drafted.
Well, right now you'd be fairly accurate.
And what I was hoping for when he was drafted,
hater.
I'm getting a little bit fuck off, Ryan. What I was hoping for when he was drafted was that he could convert. He could be the guy who converted those smarts and his speed. He's got physical speed, just doesn't have arm talent to throw with anticipation and be the guy who is at least a competent quarterback. I still think that Kenny's ceiling is like top 15-ish quarterback. Like that's his ceiling.
Agree.
And he ain't gonna be great. He's never gonna be that guy who can like lead you to like put the team on his back, like Ben could do. Put the team on his back and lead him to a fucking to a championship, to a win. He just isn't that guy.
And he can't have 10 carries from his running backs.
Yeah.
That's just not.
No, he's got to have at least 20, 25, 30.
Yes.
Preferably. He's got to be that guy. You know, he's like if he can get to the Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins level, I will be satisfied. And I know that people don't want to hear that shit because they want him to be Ben. He's not Ben. He just isn't. And I'm sorry.
He's never gonna be.
I'm kind of drunk and I'm putting it out there. I'm just saying it. I'm telling you guys the truth. He's just never going to be that guy.
Counterpoint.
Ian.
Yes.
Go ahead, Ian.
All right.
This is like Crossfire on
this
CNN.
is like Crossfire, yes. Counterpoint. That
Tequila.
Yes, this is Kenny's second year as a starter, but this was only his 14th NFL game. 14th NFL game because he missed some time.
Okay, here we go.
If you now, granted, this is the second year,
stats.
so he's had a full off season. But if you look at like, let's take Trevor Lawrence. Now, granted, Trevor Lawrence had a dog shit coach in Urban Meyer his whole first year, but he kind of turned it on the last couple games of that year, and then they got a good offensive good head coach who knew how to run an offense, Doug Peterson, for him the following year. Trevor Lawrence's stats from like game 16 through game 26 took a tremendous leap.
Sure.
Kenny Pickett's stats and Trevor Lawrence's stats in like games 1 through 14 are actually very similar, including like the touchdown and interception ratio. Like I think Trevor Lawrence did not throw double-digit touchdowns in his first 14 games. I think he had like 8 or 9, and so does Kenny.
Okay. So another point that
so what I'm saying is,
let him finish this point, Ben, and then we'll. Yeah.
I'm not saying Kenny Pickett is Trevor Lawrence because he's not, but it does take guys time and reps to grow in this league. This was week 1.
I agree with that.
We have 16 more games, 17 more weeks to try and see if that arrow continues the upward trajectory, right? It's definitely, this week was definitely a step back from where we ended last season. No doubt. This week was certainly a step back from where we thought they were in the preseason, playing against guys who are now working in advanced auto parts. But there's time, right? There's time to figure it out. And, you know, like I said, Trevor Lawrence turned things around with a new offensive coordinator, or a new head coach and a new offensive coordinator, which Kenny absolutely needs. But that being said, the one other point I want to make is you mentioned Kenny's speed and athleticism. He was able to use that, and Mark talked about this earlier with his confidence and things like that. He was able to use that in college to like convert third downs into first downs. In the NFL, he is not as fast as he thinks he is. He tries to run out of sacks and gets tackled, or tries to pick up yardage with his feet and winds up 3 yards short of a first down.
This ain't the ACC, baby.
No, his feet are certainly quicker than concrete shoes Ben at the end of his career.
Right.
But
Mason.
He is not. Hey, Mason had that like 30-yard run.
There was a gigantic fucking window. Come on.
And nevertheless, they should not rely on Kenny making plays with his feet to try and
that's a seldom thing.
Right.
Okay, so counterpoint. And I am just gonna can we all agree that Mason sucks?
Oh, for God's sake!
I mean, even Scarps acknowledged it in the preseason.
And as soon as I get a few bills paid, I'm getting
Scarps is like
Rudolph
Mason
jersey.
is terrible. I'll be surprised if he makes the team.
Okay, so real quick,
He
and then
said it, folks.
real quick, and then I'll just slide into my Brown Steelers prediction.
Yes,
Does that
please
work?
do.
Good.
We need
Okay.
to get the
So
predictions.
real quick, do you know who has better numbers?
No. Hey, wait. Time out. This is my point. Just answer my question. We'll go back to the better numbers thing in a minute here.
What was your question?
We all agree that Mason Rudolph sucks, yes or no? Yes or no
do.
question?
Mason is not an NFL starter.
Yeah, Mason's a backup. That's what he is.
So this is my point, and this is where I was going with it. It had nothing to do. You're going to love this, Scarps. Mason Rudolph, 17 games, 61.5 completion percentage, 2,366 yards, 16 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 6.2 yards per average, 10 yards per catch, 139 yards per game, which sucks, but what is what it is. But he's got an 80.9 passer rating, which is above the Cardozo line. Cordell Stewart, for those of you who are watching at home. Kenny Pickett, 14 games.
I thought I had some drinks.
63.4% completion percentage, 2,636 yards. So he's ahead of Mason in terms of completion percentage and yards, but that's where it stops because he has 8 touchdowns compared to Mason's 16. He's got 11 interceptions, which is Mason's got 11 interceptions in 17 games. He's got 6.1 yards per attempt, where Mason has 6.2. He has 9.6 yards per catch, where Mason has 10 yards. He's ahead on yards per game, 188.3 to 139.3 for Mason.
Mm-hmm.
His passer rating is actually lower, 75.8, which is above the Cardozo line, but it's lower than the 80.9.
So I get the feeling Ben is arguing for Mason to be the starter.
I'm not, because Mason sucks. I am saying that I'm really hoping Kenny gets better, but right now, this second, he's not. He ain't the guy. And don't get me wrong, it's early. I want to emphasize this.
Early.
It's not time to give up on Kenny Pickett, but I have been on this show for 5 years ranting about how much Mason Rudolph fucking sucks. And he does. He's terrible. He's never going to be that guy. And he is like Kenny and Mason are right there. They're Kenny's got a few stats that are a little better and Mason's got a few stats that are a little better. They're like duking it out. They're like right there. They're like, right. This is not good. I'm just saying.
Okay.
He needs to pick up his game. I'm just saying.
No argument there.
Saying.
Scarps, what is your prediction for this
that was
Monday night for the Browns at Steelers? Steelers have won 20 straight.
Put up that comment still, Dad, please.
Fuck you, Johnny.
Oh my God, that is so great.
This is somebody who knows me.
It wasn't me, it was her.
This is somebody who knows me really, really
That's
well.
the George Costanza. It's not you, it's me.
This is what happens when assholes who've known you for 20 years sign into the fucking podcast.
Yeah, well, that's your
problem. You, Johnny. Said it twice.
I said this earlier. The Steelers have a lot of history on the line.
Yeah.
This Monday night. And I think history is important, but I also think that confidence is important. And whether you want to admit it or not, the Browns literally shutting down the Bengals, including their pretty good wide receiver, all-pro wide receiver, Pro Bowl wide receiver.
The Browns DBs are
it's a big deal. And Jim Schwartz has familiarity with the Steelers. That's a big deal. And I do not like Deshaun Watson as a person, but I still think he still has talent. They got a great running back. They have Amari Cooper and Elijah Moore, who I think is going to have a really nice year. David Njoku as well. Their offensive line is good, even though they lost Jack Conklin.
Mm-hmm.
And until the Steelers straighten some shit out, I'm going to pick the Browns, and I'm not happy with that, but I got the Browns 24-20.
At least you admitted you're not happy with it.
Right. Ian, what do you got?
The NFL is weird. Week one does not always predict how the rest of the season is going to go.
Exactly.
There was a year where, oh gosh, I don't remember who we played in week one, but it might have been the year we got our asses kicked in Baltimore. There was a year we lost pretty bad in week one. Came home in week two to play a San Francisco team that had just beaten Minnesota, who was pretty good at the time.
Yeah.
And then we kicked the snot out of them.
That was the Ravens game, I think, where Harbaugh went for 2.
2011
when they were way up.
We beat the
it was
Seahawks.
like 30. Maybe we beat this. Okay. At any rate, week one is not a good predictor of how the rest of the season goes.
True.
Right? The weird things happen in week one that don't happen the rest of the year. Joe Burrow, for the second year in a row, didn't play in the preseason at all. This year he was injured, but didn't play in the preseason and came out in week one and looked terrible, just like last year. But then turned it on and the Bengals wound up winning the division. So week one is not always indicative of how things go. I think the Steelers turn it around. I think they, put their big boy pants on, their manhood's on the line, for lack of a better term. But the Ravens or not the Ravens. Fuck. the new Ravens, right? Yeah, the Browns, them fuckers from Cleveland.
The Browns.
Yeah, they're feisty. They'll score some points. I'm gonna go Steelers 27.
Puppy freak.
Browns 24.
Okay.
Wow, that's a lot of points, Ian.
Yeah.
Ben, what do you got?
I agree with Ian in so much as I am not going to read too much, and I keep reminding myself of this every year.
Yeah.
Don't read too much into week one. Like
right.
The Steelers beating the Bills and the Bengals the last couple of years in week one. It's like, okay, it's week one. Let's not read too much into that. Let's dial it back. It's week one. Let's be realistic here, okay? Like we talk about this every goddamn year. The league changes every 4 weeks-ish.
4 weeks is what we believe. Yeah.
3 to 4, yeah.
Every 4 weeks, the complexion of the league changes, and you're like, well, that team that I thought was really good a month ago, they're not so good now. And yeah, you want to be the team that's peaking right around Thanksgiving-ish, December. So that you go into the playoffs peaking and it's all well and good. The Steelers are not going to be that team that contends for a Super Bowl this year. And we talked about that before the season even started. But I look for them to rebound this week. And I think because this is I don't want to call it a rivalry game, even though it is, but I mean, like,
oh, it is.
I mean, it kind of is, but it's not. I mean, like it's a rivalry game for the Browns, but is it really for the Steelers? Like, the Steelers have played the new Browns since their new inception 46 times over the regular season, and the Browns have won 8 times.
Right.
I understand why they fucking hate us. I'd hate us too. I'd fucking hate the fuck out of us. But I just is it a rivalry? Maybe. Yeah, it's definitely a rivalry in Cleveland. The intensity will be up there. But I'm looking for a closer game than Ian is, and I'm gonna say
I picked a 3-point game.
I'm gonna go with Steelers 23, Browns 21.
Wow. Okay. Steelers have
last second field goal.
20 straight home wins. Mike Tomlin's never lost at home on a Monday night. I want to go with the Steelers. I really, really do.
If both of you fuckers pick the Browns again, it's going to be your fault when they lose. God damn it. Both of you assholes picked the other team last week, and the fucking Steelers lost.
Well, I can't help it that I was right.
Don't do it.
Sharpset was right.
You guys are both assholes.
I think what's going to happen here
is you guys are both dicks.
Well, that's for sure. We are going to play better. We're going to play better. We are. Problem is, we're just missing too much. I don't see us stopping Nick Chubb. I'm sorry. I don't see it.
He is pretty fucking good.
I just and that's going to allow Deshaun Watson just enough time not to make enough mistakes
to pass for 150 yards for $230 million.
Yeah, I think it's going to end up 20-17 Browns.
Fuck you, Mark.
Yep, fuck me. But I don't have a lot of faith right now in the Steelers. Thank you, Ian. Very good. Let's turn it over
Ian.
to Mr. Casey.
I appreciate you
Kasem.
so much.
Casey Kasem.
We're 90 minutes in and we're going to Casey now.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh, man. Casey's Coast to Coast. American Top 40. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the week that was September 14th, 1972. Our favorite correspondent, Ryan, is once again back with us this week, albeit he's a little under the weather, but he's here, and he writes, Dear Casey, by now I'm sure you've heard about the 49ers drubbing of the Steelers in the season opener last Sunday at the stadium formerly known as Heinz Field. After the game, 49ers All-Pro tackle Trent Williams basically said he hoped the Steelers would finally pick up a first down so he could get a breather. That implies that he felt sorry for us. After hearing this, I'm certain that the Chief rolled over in his grave. Casey, it used to be when you played the Steelers, you needed to bring your hard hat, shovel, and lunch pail. Now, when you play the Steelers, you need your swimsuit, chips and queso, and mojitos because it's a day at the beach.
Oh, wow.
Let me be clear. I do not expect this team to mirror any of those stellar teams from the 70s. That wouldn't be fair. But is it asking too much for them to sack up like the guys who won Super Bowl 40 and Super Bowl 43? I'm not even talking about Faneca, Hines, Troy, Porter, or Harrison. I'm talking about names like Aaron Smith, Deshae Townsend, Jeff Hardings, James Ferrier, and Larry Foote. Surely you remember those names. You see, Casey, the Steelers still have names, but they suck, especially on defense. Patrick Peterson, Levi Wallace, Cole Holcomb, Montravius Adams. There's a reason why nobody else wanted them. It's ironic that Tomlin refers to opponents as nameless gray faces because that's what his defense has become.
Oh, my God.
Hang on. I'm being told Brandon Ayuk just scored on Patrick Peterson again. That's now 4 interceptions Peterson could have had. Over the past month, Steelers Sunshine Twitter has assured me that there were no egos on this team. And in the first real week of pro football, we had a 50-year-old defensive back predicting interception. Pickens was this far away from a nuclear meltdown. And Cam Heyward saying we call our quarterback Big Ken. Big Ken? What a dumb fucking nickname. First of all, Pickett looks tiny out there. And second of all, the guy that he succeeded, the last guy on the team that's ever won anything, was nicknamed Big Ben. Jesus Christ, we're not even creative with our nicknames. No wonder Canada's favorite play is called You All Go That Way. Casey, we can't have anything nice. We need some easy living. Well, Ryan, you're in for a surprise. Making its debut on American Top 40 at number 40, here's Uriah Heep off the album Demons and Wizards with Easy Living.
Easy living. Love it. Love it.
Oh, God, I had to mute myself. That was awful.
And that's the Uriah Heep coming tonight. Holy shit.
Holy shit. That was a good one, Ryan.
That was funny.
I had to mute myself because
that last reference was
was
good.
too much.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back next Thursday.
We'll
Thanks
drink
so
some
much
more tequila.
for hanging for 90 minutes with
And hey,
us. Holy
one
cow.
more fuck you, Johnny, because just for good measure, fuck you, Johnny.
Well, that's 4 fuck you Johnnies tonight. So anyway, thanks so much. Make sure you visit the site at steelcityblitz.com. Check us out on socials at SC Blitz and at SCB_podcast and all those wonderful things. Facebook, Instagram, all that great stuff. Thanks to our usual cast of characters who've joined us in the chat, and be a part of it. Jump on in. We love to have you guys. And anyway, let's hope this week is way better than last week.
Says the
And-
fucker who picked the Browns. What the hell, Mark?
Yeah, fuck you.
I hope I'm
did
wrong,
too,
you
Mark.
jackass.
You're an asshole.
I did
Anyway,
too.
Fucking dick.
go Steelers. Ben?
Fuck you, Johnny.
No.
Also,
No, it's the other
No.
one.
Ravens suck.
There we go.
Oh
There
yeah, and
we
fuck the
go.
Browns too.
Yeah, them
Yeah,
too.
the old
Good night,
Ravens.
everybody.
The old Ravens.
The old Ravens.